Hey, this is Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerialist podcast. How's it going, guys? I hope you are doing well. Today we have Mike Tan. He is a healer, a body worker. He is my sensei. He is my master teacher in body work. And if you are in pain, if you have chronic pain, if you have aerial pain, if you have a nagging, irritating pain when you're training or even when you're not, when you're resting and you can't seem to figure out what the heck is going on and doctors and PTs have looked at it and it's still a mystery, Mike Tan might be a really great person to listen to because he has such an incredibly unique and deep approach to the body and healing the body. And I'm very lucky to have him as a teacher. He's my body work teacher. It's been pretty much 5 years that I have been apprenticing underneath him. And it's been a huge journey of discovery for me. And I just wanted to share him with you guys. He's the type of person that you can't really listen to once and absorb it all. It's so complicated and it's like an onion. He's an onion and his practice is an onion and it takes a while to peel those back and really understand the whole thing. But I invite you to listen and absorb. And if you have any questions or if you have any chronic pain that you'd love for him to talk about, you can actually email me with it and I can ask him about it and maybe we can talk about it. In fact, we actually started the conversation by talking about one of Sensei's cases. So we start in the middle of that. I didn't want to delete it, even though it kind of starts in the middle of the conversation because it is super relevant. So that's what you'll be hearing at the very top of the episode. Say hi, Bean. Can you say welcome?
I'm coloring.
Yes, you're coloring. She wants to tell you guys. Can you say welcome?
Welcome
to the podcast. All right, guys, let's get started. Oh, that was very good.
We're doing all the some things we're doing strengthening, some things we're doing release, doing anything with the calves, pisses off the nerve. Don't put any pressure on the calf. I mean, he's got a herniated L4, L5, and he was supposed to have an epidural twice, but he canceled it twice because I've gotten him improvement. So now it's off the table. There's no shot. He's definitely not considering surgery right now.
Oh my God, this is great. I want you to tell this story, by the way, as well. Okay, So I just started recording and, in case I was like, oh, Mike Tan's going to say something epic and I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. But it's been good because I miss teaching. And you know how when we were in that classroom, it's like we don't have a clinical case. But here I am on a clinical case. It's like, all right, there are right moves and there's wrong moves. Definitely, you don't want to piss off the nerve. You don't want to overwork him. And when I was releasing his psoas, oh my God, he was holding his back together from his psoas.
Wow.
He was holding it together from there and releasing it had repercussions. So we had to have recovery afternoons after psoas release. He slept one afternoon after that. It was the best thing ever. He's like 6'4", 215 pounds. It's like, wow. Yeah, that's a big guy. It's a big back.
Okay, my podcast listeners, you guys are in for a treat today because this is Mike Tan. I call him Sensei. He is my master teacher in body work. And, the pandemic gifted me with Mike Tan because he is now in LA. He was living in Thailand for 10 years or something, maybe less? 15 years in Thailand?
Yeah.
So I found Mike Tan through our hilarious connection because we have the same accountant and our accountant is super, what do we call him? Well, I call both you guys kind of crunchy.
Crunchy.
A little bit. Like you guys met at Burning Man.
Yeah. Alternative.
Yeah, you guys met at Burning. Yeah, and one day Scott, my accountant, we were working with my taxes, was like, you know what? I feel like you and Mike Tan would get along. And I was like, who's Mike Tan? He's like a healer. He's a healer. And at that point, I wasn't even a body worker yet. I never thought I was going to be a masseuse. Like I never had an interest in being a masseuse. I just wanted to help people with their pain. And so regular massage didn't really resonate with me because I didn't want to give like Swedish massages at like Burke Williams. Like I was not interested. So I met Mike Tan and he became my teacher. And Mike, if you'll explain your approach for my audience. Now, keep in mind, this population, some men, but mostly women, super high level athletes, hobbyists too. So professionals, but a lot of them have, regular jobs, but they have this really high, like super crazy side gig where they're pulling their own body weight. Oh, yeah. We have a lot of the same imbalances because we're always pulling up. So if you'll keep that in mind and then explain your approach to the body. Sure.
Well, the simplest thing I could say is I simply cut the body up into 5 areas. And, like your feet, shins, and calves are like your shock absorbers. They take all the impact. Then your hip flexors, your knees, your adductors, your IT bands, your stomach, and your psoas. That's like, you're always sitting, you're always crunching that area. And when you're on a rope or when you're pulling yourself up, you're squeezing in that area, mostly in the front. So that area gets worked a lot, and a lot of people are anterior bound. And then the extensors, the glutes, the lower back, that's all your third area. And your fourth are your arms, shoulders, hands, and your fifth is like the upper torso, head, and neck. So what I tend to find is the lower you go, the more problems you tend to see, or if you're an aerialist, they may be more in the hands, arms, shoulders, necks, leading from the hands all the way up. So it's like to unravel the pain from the source is always the key in how efficiently you do it. And when you have right dominance versus left, or you have people that are doing sports or activities like a jewelry maker, there's some intense jobs out there that make people work. But yeah, I remember from working with you, Carrie, like your hands and your wrists, I remember the forearms from that holding. And what's interesting is the jiu-jitsu people that I've worked with. A lot of their grappling is almost the same. It's like you got to unwind their hand and their arm. It's like, oh my God, it's and then when you get that squeeze coming from the back and from other places, and you balance it out, with like either release exercise or stretching or whatever, whatever way you work it out. Like I like to have a little formula for working each of these areas, then you can help get people back into shape. You can get them to do whatever they want to do, but maybe balance a little bit differently for their hobby or their sport. You know what I'm saying? No. So maybe I just went off into the deep end on that.
No. By the way, that's what this is for. It's long form. This time is for the deep end. And I think my audience is there for it because
Sure.
Even though it's called the Expecting Aerialist and we talk about motherhood and what we do, it's like pain is such a central part.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a central part of, pain management, body maintenance. Like right now, for example, Sensei, my right deltoid, like anterior lateral is like, I'm like, did I tear something or is this just mad? And then my left wrist is kind of given, yeah, I was like, so I work on myself. But I'm carrying a toddler all the time.
Yeah.
and then I'm teaching 5 days a week. It's such a maintenance thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it would really help if I had 2 weeks of rest, but I don't have that.
Yeah, it's amazing because, I've shifted from teaching and treatments to just treatments mainly and private teaching. So I haven't had that 30-hour class, which takes more than 30 hours, to do, But it's been interesting to see. I've just been more like a worker, healer, warrior kind of guy out there, just like traveling, hired gun. And it kind of feels fun to do that. It's like a little bit less time responsibility because, I can work on myself as I go. I don't have to be in front of people as much. I don't have as much material to get across. I could be very specific. So I was telling you about this back case we were doing. This guy, poor guy. First, he fell down a set of stairs and he hit his tailbone.
Oh,
right?
Man.
And then, so that put him in the wreck. And I think it took him about a week to heal, but he was back swinging the golf club. And then I think they went to France and he got some intestinal flu and he was vomiting like black bile. And then he blew out his disc there, his L4, L5.
Wow.
So we deducted it. He thought it was the fall, but I said, wait, you can't have been swinging a golf club with a herniated disc. There's no way. And he sent me the MRI and it was like some crazy 1.5 centimeter extrusion. It was like, what?
Wait, this is the same guy that you were just talking about and you released his psoas? Is it the same guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but that wasn't the first step. Like the first days, I was just like, okay, where is it hurting? It's one of these sciatica from L4, L5 in the lumbar, goes down the glute, the hamstring.
Okay, so break this down because there's a lot of sciatica pain too in my audience. So can you explain? And again, like my audience maybe will not be able to do it for themselves, but can you explain how you treated the sciatica?
Well, for sure, like his case was a herniation. That means the disc actually burst. And they say there's an extrusion coming out and it's landing on the nerve, or a protrusion from the burst into the nerve. And his is an extrusion case. And the first thing they're saying is rest, because the pain's going from the back, down the glute, down the hamstrings, down the calf on the outside, to the foot, to the pinky toe. I mean, it's insane. It can be radiating, numbing. It's worse in the mornings when he wakes up. This is, all sciatica cases are different. But when it's...
Well, and not all sciatica comes from a blown out disc.
No. There can be an impingement. There can be a piriformis. There could be other things. There could be psoas issues, pelvic, hip.
So he's kind of got the marriage of these two things.
There's always the steps of first, like PT. There's anti-inflammatories. There's steroids. He had 5 days of steroids before he started seeing me.
Okay.
But he had an epidural scheduled, which is a pretty serious set of shots under a scope, close to the spine to try to numb the area. Give it some time to heal so the inflammation goes down, because the nerve's just waking it up all the time and everything's inflamed. But what's terrible is in these cases is you go mad because it's always hurting. You cough, you sneeze, you twist, you bend. He's got a 2-year-old, can't pick her up, and it's like all these things that it's like, wow, his life is miserable, but he could have me come in. I came in, we started working together. We started with the assessment of what was going on, where the pain was. I always start with the pain, always start with the condition, try to figure out where it's coming from. And then I start with treatment next, or continue with treatment, and try to help relieve the inflammation, get things flowing, the energy flowing. This is structural energy, as I'm talking about, like muscle and joint, just kind of like nerve, everything all talking, a flow in the chain.
Okay, so for my audience, because I understand what you're saying, but from their perspective. So what I learned very specifically from Sensei is his technique of thumbing, which is not his. It's a very old technique, years and years, decades, centuries.
Yeah.
And it's this technique that you're using your thumbs, but your body.
push the toothpaste down the tube, right?
So can you explain the energy lines of the body?
Yeah, I mean, it's more like structural is almost like the martial artist kung fu thing where it's kind of like inside, outside, front, back. It's like how you move. Like, is it heavy to move your leg that way or is it light? If it's easy to move your leg that way, your energy is open and flowing. If it feels like a 200-pound weight moving your leg forward, you've got some blocked channels, and then after the channels are blocked for a while, things feel more stuck or heavy. The fascia gets more stuck. Then the joint gets more limited in range of motion. Like an ankle doesn't move as much because the shin and calf is so tight, or the knee is tight. It doesn't extend all the way because the quads and hamstrings are so tight and the energy is stuck. And I was working on a soccer player today. He's like in his 20s, 24. And I was releasing his IT band on his left, and he's like, I'm feeling heat. I'm feeling tingling in my hands and everything like that. What's going on? And I'm like, that's the energy releasing.
Yeah, blocked energy that's been in there for however long.
Yeah. It's like a stiffness, and it can feel cold when it shoots through the body. And the body in that area doesn't feel as warm. It's like the circulation is less. So it's all these things, but the biggest thing I feel is like the weight of the legs. Like when I'm moving a leg that's blocked energetically, it feels like 200 pounds. When it's been open after a while, I pick it up and it feels a lot lighter. The same leg. It's quite interesting.
So interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically part of it. That's the Eastern side of it. That's why I basically try to take the Eastern approach, and the Western side is more like body assessment. I use like strain, counter strain, like active release type of techniques too. I use cross fiber, I a psoas release that came from an osteopath. So I try to blend Eastern feeling of the lines with a Western also bodywork approach and rebalancing approach. Because I also believe when you come to working with these 5 areas of the body, they need different things. Like the feet, shins, and calves take so much just abuse. You're talking about a runner, let's say. It's like, can you stop running for a week while we try to soften these?
Okay, so I'm gonna interject because I want to explain. Okay, what happens when you go to see Mike Tan for the first time? Just to kind of like, because you. So for my listeners, okay, Mike Tan is a deep diver. So this is what happens. And this is why I started initially wanting to learn from him, because you arrive at your session, he has you stand nice and straight, feet in a certain place, arms by your side, and he looks at you and he can tell you what the problem is. Basically.
My teacher used to tell me the problem as they were walking up, like from 30 feet away. He'd be like, Kun Tan, look at that person's growing problem. I'd be like, what? I'd be like, what?
Yeah, like he's like, he's like, your shoulder's dipping off a little bit. Do you have numbness in that shoulder? I was like, I do actually. I had like an impinged nerve in that shoulder, and then I was uneven. And I attempted to learn this technique of body assessment from him. And the reason why I'm not better at it is because you have to practice every day, I believe. Like you have to look at bodies and assess, because he's not in the business of giving he's in the business of giving a corrective treatment, a corrective massage, a corrective body work. He wants to fix a problem.
Yeah.
So you walk into a session and he's able to basically figure out where you might be in pain and then work on that specifically. So, which is so important for my population. So my personal story, which I love telling, is I went to Thailand pre-baby and I spent a week, and it was one of the best weeks of my life because rarely did I ever like travel across the world by myself, not for work. Like it was for me. It wasn't working for somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I traveled across the world by myself, stayed in like a lovely hotel with a pool and a wine bar. and then there's like a barbecue, you know, one of those barbecues where you sit outside and like you can put, you know, like, yeah, like, and you can just put your shrimp and blah, blah, blah in there. And then I took this course from Sensei where we worked, you know, I don't know, 6-8 hours a day on this technique. And I practiced it.
Was that the line?
Yeah, I took structural energy lines with you at that time. So we did structural energy lines and I was learning that. And the story is that throughout the week, I was getting worked on because we work on each other, which was awesome. And then at night, I would go pay for like a Thai massage, which was so cheap. And then at the end of the week, we had scheduled my session with you. So I was just going to do the one session, him working on my body. And we did 2 hours and we stopped in the middle so that I could like do shots of vodka because I was, do you remember that?
I was like, I wonder when I got in the house because I think you need something to relax.
How often do you offer vodka shots in the middle of a session? Not often.
Well, if the person needs it, sure.
Well, and I don't smoke, so I think that would be a good option too.
Sure.
But because basically he realized that two of my hamstring muscles, of course there's fascia and they're together, but they were locked together probably my whole life.
Oh man.
I don't know if you remember this. I remember this because it's my body.
The dancer is extreme. Yeah. It's like, wow. You were on point or something. I was just like feeling the leg going, or something.
Like this hasn't separated ever. And throughout 1 hour, well, he worked on my arms extensively that 2 hours, but the second hour after the vodka shots, I remember we like specifically went to 7-Eleven or whatever 7-Eleven is in Thailand. And we got like raspberry juice or something and then vodka. And I just quickly, and then you went into that hamstring and changed it. And I then oddly, after the arms too, I don't know exactly what you did, but I didn't have neck pain again for a year.
Wow, that was great.
And I can't explain what did it, but I, number one, very excited that I even know a Mike Tan in case I'm that much in pain again, but to be able to apprentice under you and slowly over time learn your practice is just I'm very lucky because also we talk about this all the time. A lot of people who want to be masseuses, there's this quickness about it. And what I love is that I have no intention of this being a quick practice. I know that, well, also because I'm a mom and it works for me that like, it's not pressing me right now, but I work on people. I have a couple clients a week and, he'll teach me technique for a week and I'll work on that 1 week worth of study for a year or more. And this process should take me, 10, well, I don't think we ever stop learning, but 10, 15 years, probably.
For sure.
And what you do is so specific that it would take that long because the way you're communicating with these bodies is just like, the only way to get there is to take time and to work on as many bodies as you do. So, okay. So my listeners probably have crazy outside line on their arms. Pain. So it's lateral. Can you talk about that, how that happens, how our movement patterns create that for us, and then how you would treat it?
Most times when I have like a rock climber, like similar, something like that, I haven't had as many aerialists, but like I've had definitely rock climbers or people that are in construction or, people that definitely use their arms, body workers, always working with different body workers or, and there was a whole bunch of acro yogi people. So definitely the standard yogis were not too many on their arms, but the acro yoga people definitely, there's a lot of the grip that they had was insane too. But I worked with a dancer in Chiang Mai, and she was teaching aerial as well as pole, and just saying how much, and I felt it in her upper body, just how much she held and how strong she was, and the grip that it was there. And it's just like, everything I teach is always about first release first is the first thing. Like even just soaking your hands, arms, forearms in a tub of hot water and Epsom salt, like, every 3-4 times a week. You don't need a whole bath, but focus on that area. Stretch them out a little bit. Let them just kind of stretch in the tub while you're soaking them, relax them. And then I would give like stretching and body rolling kind of exercises, like stuff you can use, like, lay the forearms on a roller, small roller or small balls. There's some nice ball sets on Amazon, like these rad balls are really nice, but just to start to help relieve them. I like the roller for like the triceps, like laying down, I can share some positions, but again, like I said, even for what's happening there, you think about what's holding in the core, in the center core in the front, that's holding to counteract the arms. And then what would hold maybe in the knees or the hip flexors as well. So even though you're treating the symptom more up top, there's still deeper things in the whole structure of the body that need to be worked on as well, where you can then start to stretch and lengthen and mobilize, so, different approaches. And strengthening would usually be in the posterior side, like mostly in the deltoids, mostly in the mid back, mostly in the posterior side of the neck, like even when you're doing, like, remember those rowing exercises where I have you kind of tilt your neck back and arch your back, like recurve with the breath. So it's almost like doing, back crunches, getting your back to pull, versus your front of your neck or your chest or your arms, so all different stages, but always you have to have the release and the range of motion first before you start strengthening. If you can't even like extend your elbow all the way, then why are you strengthening your arms? Because then everything's going to shorten even more. So you've got to get that full extension. So you've got to work the other side.
Yeah. And this is where I really feel like Western PT misses the mark. Because every single person I see that goes to PT, it's just a strength-based focused program.
Yeah.
They just want to strengthen around whatever the weak joint is. And there's something to say about that. There is definitely something to say, but that's 50% of the picture. If you're not releasing and stretching what's too tight, like it's just very basic.
Of course.
And I think a lot of my audience might resonate with that. They're like, well, the problem is I'm too tight. Now we're just going to strengthen more.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you have a lot of these people that haven't had that injury, that haven't worked on people that have that injury. So it's kind of like a textbook, kind of robotic, like, approach to it, But even when I have one sciatica case versus another sciatica case, the same exercises don't work. Where the nerve is impinged really changes positionally, where I can put his knee or his hip, or if I put pressure on a roller on his calf or not. If the nerve is firing all the way down there or not, so it's something, a good guide. It's useful. I could put steps on the web, but always having someone to, like you or I, to oversee the case and make the right calls, so that's what we're talking about.
So let's talk about, can we talk about shoulders? Shoulders are problematic. Impingement, especially for us, the teres minor major area, where those tiny little asshole muscles like to internally rotate the humerus, and then now you're like hunched forward and you can't open your chest, and then you're doing more silks so that you're climbing more, and it's all in the front.
Sure. How that happens is most times women have their elbows out a little too far wide. Being they're working from their scapulas more instead of having them more tucked closer to the bottom, closer to the torso, and working with the chest and back more.
Are you saying when you're doing a pull-up to
tuck your elbows close to your torso? Try to use your central core, your chest, back, belly, everything. But if you have your elbows out, what do you use?
Your shoulders.
Your scapulas,
yeah.
Your scapulas, your shoulders, your delts, your teres minor, you know. But if you have it elbows tucked, almost like rubbing in and out from your torso, guess what you'll use more of? Like your psoas, right? You bring it away or you bring the power in, you know. So a lot of things could be observed positionally, structurally, how chains work together when in the right position, you know. And if there's a problem there, it might be a habit from where they've been. Or even when you're on the computer, sometimes it's hard not to have the elbow out, right? Using the mouse.
Oh, this is a really good tip.
What do you feel when you're working all day? You feel shoulders and neck and arm and right?
Yeah. So basically keeping the elbows in and stay out of your traps a little bit and use the right muscles, which is such a hard
thing to be aware of when you're on the task.
So hard. Well, also because we're many times on silks, which is a different apparatus where our hands are stacked. Our hands are stacked. I like to switch whichever hand is on top just to even up that uneven balance.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, that grip is really hard to do a pull-up in, if you ask me. Really hard.
Sure.
But so if you had me come in to get work done on my shoulders, I have a little bit of impingement on the top left where I have a little bit of numbness here and there when I'm not taking good care of myself. My arms are a little bit rotating inwards because of all the things.
Most shoulder issues, like I've had people come in just for like 40-minute shoulder session, and I'll just wail right into it. Like, this is okay, here, bite down on this. Here's a ball gag. No, I'm just kidding. And just go to town. But yeah, usually I'll check the nerve from the chest, from just under the clavicle there, and just work that down through the armpit, brachial plexus, but all the way to the fingertips. And I'll just work the inside, the outside, just underneath on the triceps.
Squeeze the toothpaste tube out. Is that?
Exactly. Get them into the side position, work into the scapula, try to release everything in the rhomboids, try to just get it free, the traps, the neck. I love side position for all that work. But yeah, it goes up to the neck. But the left side is always usually the side that's getting skewed by the right. I mean, most times the right is the strong side, is the dom, you know, the dominant side. And then that comes down and in. And the left side usually gets thrown up and high. So usually the left shoulder and scapula is up higher and skewed out than the right, which is more lower and in.
Oh, that explains everything.
The law of dominance. You have two stronger bulls. The one takes the center, the other one gets pushed out. You know, the stronger one wins.
Yeah, and on what's the percentage of the population is right dominant? Like most.
Oh, the majority. Even people that are lefty are kind of like right hip dominant and left can right, but the right can throw farther, and it's like, what? You know, how did you? But because they've had to learn so many things right, it's kind of skewed their dominance. You know, but the full-on right dominance, your golfers, tennis players, you know, guitar players, you know, things like really do things in an awkward way, right and left, change things in their body dynamics. But you're treating the left shoulder and scapula, and it's kind of like, oh, you got to look at the right. You know, you got to look at the hips. You got to look at the spine. You know, it's all involved. You know, it's been there for many years. The spine is probably curved a certain way for this right shoulder and hip dominance. You know?
So what would you suggest for daily maintenance?
Well, first correction. Yeah, find what's most important. Where's the pain? Let the pain drive it. if it's lower body, definitely always start lower, if there's things in the hip or the knee, and that'll help what's above it. But if it's strictly like shoulder issue specifically, just like that same idea of wailing on the shoulder for an hour, just start treating it with release. I do like some kind of an Epsom salt thing. I want to make kind of like recipes, like healing recipes. I was thinking of calling them recipes or remedies, but just like sciatica, simple remedies, basic, not too technical. If it's beyond this or if you have pain and exercises, don't do it. But, just to start treating it. But first, like a soak, then like a roll, then like a little bit of a stretch, and then strengthen the back as needed. Try these first 3, 4, 5 steps and see if it starts getting better. And if there's pain in any step, message me, contact me, we can talk about it. That's different. But like I was telling you with that sciatica case, his with the blown out disc, I had maybe 12 or 14 exercises, but I cut it down to 8 because 2 were flat out flaring up the sciatica. And 2 were okay, but I wanted him to focus on the other 8. So I went with like 8 efficiency exercises versus, 2 more that could harm and 2 more that didn't really help too much. I said for 2 weeks work on this and then we'll continue again, Okay,
so this podcast is going to be slightly frustrating for half the people listening because they're going to be like, well, this is great, except I don't have access to Mike Tan.
Sure. But we'll try to keep it as like, that's what I want to try to do is I feel behind because I feel like so much of this material I want to put on my website first before you release this one. You know what I mean?
Oh, but it's okay. It's okay because
but it's like bits of introduction and then we'll
but the point is the reason for this first episode, because I think that like you are not the professor that somebody can listen to once and absorb everything. It's just not the case. Even for super like tuned in individuals, it's still
I go fast.
No, it's not just that. It's like if number one, if you don't know anatomy yet, how are you supposed to understand what you're talking about? I understand you, but I have been learning from you for years. So, so I think that this first episode, it's not necessarily important that they go right away and do these exercises. I think it's important to listen to the way you look at the body because there's a lot, a lot of these issues that people have, they don't have somebody in their life talking about it like this. And this is really important for our self-awareness because if you go to a doctor, they don't have this vocabulary. Our masseuses don't necessarily have this vocabulary. Our PTs don't have this vocabulary. It's very specific, the way you understand the human body. And you don't need to, I don't think you need to have the exercises ready to go because I'm going to have you on for a series. I'm going to have you on every couple months. And then my listeners, if they're really into it, they can start to really build the way I have with you because it's a lot to bite off at once when you're talking about how everything is so connected. But how is everything so connected? It's very, I mean, it's mind blowing. It's like so interesting, but it's complicated.
Oh, thank you. And that's what I mean. I feel like, I just picked up one of my old manuals from Structural Energy Awakening Foundations course from like 2016. The thing's like 100 pages long.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many details.
I cut it into like 2.5 courses, it's like, oh my gosh. That was the original course that I put people through for like 16 days or something. It was crazy.
No, and it's if you take I was taking this course and it's just like, it's such a combination of intellect and feel.
Yeah, that's the East and the West.
Yeah, because you can't just go by all feel because you don't know what you're feeling yet. Because that, I mean, my friend Gail, who works on me, you know, the last time I worked on her, she was like, you know what? Your hands feel different to me. And that only comes with time. It only comes with time. So you have to practice that. And then also I remember, so all of the teachers that have been very influential in my life, I don't know if you're like this with your teacher. Mike Tan talks about his sensei all the time. Like there's a couple, like Mike Tan is a very gentle being, but when he's a teacher, there's a couple times you said, I've said that I've repeated myself to you one too many times. You just got to absorb it. And I like, it's not fear. That's not the word, because I don't fear you. I'm not
just like don't want to disappoint.
No, like you don't want to disappoint. Like I don't want to disappoint you. I want to do my best, but like obviously I didn't absorb it. Yeah, right. So it was this feeling of like, oh shit. Oh my God, B just said, oh shit, I'm sorry.
And you know what my teacher would always say it so nicely. He would always say, "Jayen yen, kuntan, jayen yen," and that means heart, cool, like cool your jets. But he said it with a smile, and I'm like, what are you talking about? About the knee, above, below, inside, outside. I'm trying to learn his pidgin English too.
At least I speak the same like actual language that you do.
So I mean, I know, it's like you're overheating, you're going too quick, you're missing it. You got to slow down. That's most times when I feel like, okay, you're trying to absorb too quick. So it's a lot. It definitely is passes and layers and repeat. That's what I was thinking with what I wanted to do with preparing material, is just sharing, like approaches for different parts of the body or different kinds of conditions. Like what you can do is just like first steps. I want to make that more like template approach that you can search for and get my search feature online going. So yeah, I have a vision towards making it more and accessible, because even if I started to get more famous, I'd be in trouble fast because I couldn't support it. I worked 10 days in a row when I was doing that thing, and I'll be doing another 7 twice in April in a row, so those are intense weeks of, challenging a nerve and going to the next steps. So, well,
and Sensei has this technique where he flicks the nerves. And I learned this technique from him years ago, and I still don't have the balls to do it on anybody. Except for myself.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that is and why you do it and the purpose of it?
The strumming of
strumming of a nerve.
Strumming of the nerve. The strumming of the nerves. Well, it's like a signal kind of a processing unit. Like there's some kind of conditions like drop foot, which means you can't pick up the front of the foot. And there's a nerve on the tibial nerve on the front of the shin that's just getting spiked, and from the source of the problem, and it's pushing the foot to go down. So the person can't flex their ankle anymore back. So when a nerve like that gets blocked, it's not saying that you could cure drop foot by clearing it, but you could help it to relieve the pressure along that nerve by releasing the fascia and like almost like cleaning the nerve channel along that line and getting the ankle moving again. You could bring a lot of relief to someone that's been just pinned on for a while, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Or sometimes in the elbow gets trapped from someone that's been like rotating their forearm a lot, like turning their arm like someone like a construction worker. So the nerve in there gets trapped in the outside, like underneath the common extensors, the outside of the forearm muscles. So I'll work in the elbow. It'll feel freaky. It'll feel tingly to the fingers, but you can help release that. I've worked in carpal tunnel cases. I've worked in cubital tunnel or different kind of.
You said you work with the brachial plexus too.
Yeah, in the brachial plexus, in the elbow, in the in the fingers and the thumb and the wrist, realign the carpals in the wrist and the metacarpals, so there's all kinds of possibilities there. But it definitely comes with time and experience. Like when I even teach people, I don't teach them the most radical things to do. It's just step by step, open the energy along these channels, get the fascia going, try to get the range of motion more fluid and correct, to get the full extension and flexion, so you just work energy by energy, muscle by muscle, joint by joint, but along the path of the lines helps to integrate things. And the nerves usually live, with some amount of energy along those channels. So when I feel the energy is blocked and I can feel that the nerve is just not like firing through there, yes, it'll feel like I'm torturing you to help get you relief. Like it'll feel like, what's this guy doing to me? It's so sharp, the pain. But as the session progresses, the pain gets less intense. As the nerve releases at many places along the path, the pressure kind of calms down. So that's what it kind of is when you're strumming or flicking the nerves. They're kind of like balancing the pressure so there's not a intense firing anymore. So many issues these days are neuropathies, and that's what happens when everything starts and when you have a neuropathy, it starts firing the muscle, and then the muscle gets just hard or worn out or loses that range of motion, So it's like long-term dysfunction. You want to keep the nerve signals clean. You want to try to keep everything muscular, working in balance,
So to be specific, and I'm going to possibly get myself in trouble if I get this line wrong. So,
yeah, sure.
so because it's kind of like, I haven't taken, I might get the line wrong.
Okay.
I know, right? So line number 1 in the legs, it goes up the second toe, through the ankle, up right on the outside of that bone in the front. And then it goes into the quad, right up the center, up into right where your Isis is, right inside there. Am I right? Asses. Right inside.
Grab your asses.
These are Sensei's bodywork jokes. I don't think everybody gets it, but I get it.
ASIS. You can look it up.
And then the line carries. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like back to the straight up that same side erector spinae. Am I right?
Yeah, but it'll wrap underneath the hamstring and go up under the knee and go up from there under the glute. That line follows the sciatic nerve very much so. And on the lower leg, just underneath the tibia on the inside edge, on the medial edge. And then to the third toe on the inside.
Third toe on the inside, not the second toe on the inside. I'm like,
second and third metacarpal.
I totally failed the quiz, but I put myself up to it. So, and then all the way up the neck, over the head into the eyebrow on that same side. It stops, right? Yeah, that's the line.
It's something foramen. That's what it is. It's called.
What is it called?
It's a foramen of some sort, like a little divot.
Oh yes, that divot right on the almost at the inside edge, but not quite.
Of the eyebrow, yeah.
So that line, basically, when I work on my clients, they say to me, I'm having hip problems on my right side in the front. I'll do this entire line a lot of the times, and something up the line will really resonate with them. And not necessarily, but sometimes their hip pain will kind of go away. I know, Mom is trying to help.
It'll definitely be that. It's like as you get more familiar with it, and as people feel the release along the channel, it helps move the energy all over the body. And that's the Eastern approach, that we're not just a sum of different parts of the body. You know, there's a holistic, integrative nature of it, you know, and that's what we explain as is energy.
If you could tell my audience maybe one or two things they can do to get started on self-care.
On self-care, I would say just make sure you have a good amount of cardio every day. That would probably be the biggest thing. Watch what you eat, do things, but just, even if it's just a little walk around the block, it's great just to keep yourself moving. But if you can get like 2, 3, or 4 times a week, get a good hour and a half and something that keeps your heart sustained, that's one of the best things for yourself going forward. And if you get sunshine as well, even better.
All right, guys, thanks for deep diving with me with Sensei Mike Tan. I hope you got as much out of that as I did. And I'm going to have him back and we're going to talk about a lot of other things and diving deeper into it. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you go to the show notes, there is easy registration for the mini course by Wrap Your Head Around Silks. I have tons of different free resources for you on my website as well. And then free silks content on my Instagram, as always, at CarrieWee1. Yeah, thanks for being with me. If you would honor me with a 5-star rating and a review anywhere you get your podcast to help other people in our community find us, please do so. And have an amazing week. Happy training. And I'll see you guys next week. This is the Expecting Aerialist.